Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a terrific day and a terrific game week ahead of you. In today's edition of my team selection, you will be getting an exciting one. As the title would suggest, I will not be captaining Erling Haaland. But what it didn't tell you is that there is a serious consideration for myself to sell him this game week and maybe not buy him back for quite a while. So both of those things will be discussed and assessed in this video, as well as looking at the other player prospects. And for the 4 routes I have available to myself this game week, realistic ones, I will be looking at the future plans for that as well. So a lot to look forward to. Like I said, it should be an exciting one. If that's enough for you to hit the like on the video, again, that would be greatly appreciated. And equally, a subscribe or a hype on the video would be magnificent as well. Not much else needs to be said. I think that pretty much says it all. So let's get into it. Not captaining Erling Haaland, selling Erling Haaland, and all the transfers talk will have to wait because I like to build from back to front. So I will start with discussing Robert Sanchez in this section. Now, this could be particularly useful for some of you who own a Chelsea defender, such as a Chalobah or a Cucurella or Reece James, because in your position, you're able to bench them more justifiably. So for me, when I have triple Arsenal already, who knows, maybe I won't by the end of the week, there's no real point playing Dubravka at home to them, not only because of the lack of upside, but also you would just expect Arsenal to score and score more than once. Now, I've repeatedly spoken about how I'm not so high on our defense because we are not a particularly transition-proof defense in a system that is often 3-1-6 or at a bare minimum has a lot of space to protect in the centre and in behind. However, for this game, I am quietly, I wouldn't say confident, that would be a stretch, but I am quietly hopeful, maybe not so quietly anymore, but I'm hopeful of a clean sheet. Because when I look at Spurs and I look at their weapons to exploit that, Kudus, even if you go Xavi Simons on the left, I'd say they're more the carrier types. And in the transitions that you can really hurt us in, I think you really want runners on the wing. Now, of course, he could go Xavi Simons in the middle, Johnson on one side. But if Johnson is to play on the left, I think Reece will do a good job at handling him, even in transition. So it's really just the 9. And I personally don't think at the moment, with what I've seen, one from the 9s themselves, Colin Mwani or Richarlison, and in addition to that, their overall attacking dynamics of Spurs, I'm not overly concerned. Now, they have been a very inconsistent side this year. Sometimes they look really good, sometimes they don't. But as of late, I haven't been super impressed, and I honestly can see us maybe keeping a clean sheet. And if we do so, he'll probably rack up some saves. And he's always got a penalty save on him. So I think there's a hole somewhere in the season and in this fixture patch for him, potentially. So he'll be starting over Dubravka. No real point starting him when I have triple Arsenal in general, which I might not by the end of the game week. But more importantly, I expect them to concede at least twice, to be honest. Munoz, second favorite defender in the game, so I'm not going to start him. Right, I'm not even going to speak about Gabriel. He's the best. He's the best defensive asset in the game. He's got everything going for him. If you don't have him, I would say that would be somewhat of a priority. Whether it be number 1 or 2, I'm not sure, depending on your team, but it would be a priority of sorts. Munoz is very similar, in my opinion. In terms of the long-term fixture run, magnificent. The upside, magnificent. He's also decent on DEFCON, and decent enough whereby he's looking to hit it maybe 1 in every 3.5 games. When you combine that with his open play threat and the fact that Palace can keep cleans, but you probably don't want to double up, I really like that. So yeah, Munoz at home to Brentford. Can they score? Absolutely. Shada, Atara, Thiago, Damsgaard, Coyote as well. I mean, how many big chances does this guy create? I know you could say the West Ham game accounts for a lot of them, but still, phenomenally good right back. They've got a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised if they scored against Palace, but the good thing about him is, even if they do concede once or twice, he has the capability to not just get 1, but 2 attacking returns, as he showed against Bournemouth. And not just assists, but also goals. So yeah, love having him. And in terms of the rest, of course, Esteves is going to be last on the bench for very obvious reasons. And the reason I'm starting Anderson is because there's let's say there's a 1% chance he starts. Okay, great. He does, then I'll have him for the best fixture maybe you can have in the Premier League at the moment. And if not, then Senesi will come in. Marcus Silva has a press conference at 1:30 today, I assume, depending on the time you're watching, because most of you will be watching on Friday. And he's probably going to tell us whether he's in or out. I doubt he comes off the bench. And to be honest, I doubt he plays, so Senesi will come in. Will I use a transfer in this spot? No. I'm more than happy to play Senesi, knowing how good he is for DEFCON. Getting DEFCON against City isn't particularly easy, but with how aggressive Bournemouth are and how aggressive Senesi is, I'm more than happy to do this. Could they keep a clean sheet? I don't think it's impossible. He's obviously got some decent threat from set pieces, and I just don't think it's worth a transfer to sell Anderson so early, especially when he can be so useful on my bench boost in the near future, as I'll show you. So that's how the defense will line up. Very, very much like the look of it overall. Could be a bit better for sure, but when you have Gabriel Munoz, I feel good about it. So yeah, that's that. Now we can get on to the more interesting bit. The slide has been changed so that it's hopefully a bit more visually appealing and generally just better viewing. Above me, what you can see are the 4 possible routes that I'm likely to embark on this game week, with the 4th being Erling Haaland to Mark Gui and Josh King to Mohamed Salah. And the reason I say that one first is because of all the 4, it is the least likely to happen. Where the other 3, the probabilities are pretty close. This one, not at all in the same ballpark. So you can't discount that because otherwise I wouldn't have put it there, but it's unlikely. Number 1, for those listening, is Erling Haaland to Mateta and Eze to Salah. 2, Bowen to Mateta, and that's it, and roll the other free transfer. And 3, Haaland to Mateta and Josh King to Bruno Fernandes, which I'm sure will raise some eyebrows. However, in any case, like I said, Erling Haaland will not be my captain this game week, and it will either be Bukayo Saka or Mohamed Salah, not Erling Haaland. Who knows, maybe I get inspired and go somewhere else, but it won't be Erling Haaland. And I think that's probably the best place to start because it allows for an easier justification in terms of the other moves. I cannot say that I have this abundance of reasoning as to why I'm not going to captain Erling Haaland this week. I don't like the fact that Bournemouth are in such good, from his perspective, I don't like the fact that Bournemouth are in such good form. And things really seem to be going for them. They're playing well, and they seem to have the rubber of the green at the moment. I don't like the fact that he has such a poor record against this Bournemouth side. He hasn't scored, I don't think, in either of the last 4 Premier League games against them. I don't think he's ever scored against Iraola outside of the cup that he scored in last season, towards the back end of last season. And my third reason is generally, I just don't have a good feeling about it. And I don't want to sit here and pretend like there's this superb tactical reason for me not doing so, but I just don't have that good of a feeling about it. Now, I can appreciate that stylistically, it might be a good matchup. I mean, if Bournemouth are willing to engage in duels so high up the pitch, counter press, and allow themselves to be played through, and leave that space behind for Haaland, and allow City essentially just to go into him quickly very often when he's hitting that space in behind, yeah, he could score a hat-trick. I'm completely aware of that possibility, and I'm not saying that it's not, going to happen. Like I said, I just don't have that good of a feeling about it. With his record against Iraola, the fact that I think they can adapt, and they have adapted in the past against Manchester City to make it tougher for him. I remember the game at the Vitality last season where there was a difference in approach compared to what you usually see. The back line wasn't as high. They maybe counter-pressed in a slightly different fashion. They were willing to get into their block a little bit more. And the fact that Marmoush is back, and I think that will take away from a bit of his threat at some point in the game, should he come on the pitch. I'm okay with it. Also, there was a period of time where Doku looked undroppable and he was just playing amazingly. Since then, Pep's rotated him quite a bit, and I wouldn't say City are flowing in attack as well. They're also coming off a defeat at Villa Park where it was shown that if you do certain things and block really well, that maybe you can hurt Manchester City in terms of their attacking creativity. And we did speak about at the start of the season that their attacking dynamics could at some point be a challenge. So yeah, whilst like I said, there's not an abundance of reasoning. I can't say I'm super confident. I would say I'm super confident in the fact that my team gets at least 1 point in this game week. I don't think there's enough there for me to go Erling Haaland with some of the other options on offer. So that's why I won't be going there. I'll then speak about the Saka and Salah captains quickly, and then I can get onto the moves. Saka, I mean, for me, he's got a brilliant fixture. Yes, like I spoke about yesterday, Burnley have been very good at home. But this is a completely different beast that they're facing. Arsenal, for me, have the necessary block-breaking dynamics. I love the way they use their fullbacks. I think it's phenomenal. And then you consider the quality of fullbacks as well, how multifunctional they are. And that right-hand side, between Eze, Saka and Timber, the amount of block-breaking power in there is phenomenal. It really is. So I don't think Burnley will be able to keep him out for too long. And I could see Arsenal scoring 2+, 3+, 4+ in this game. And with Saka being the captain, and with this really looking like this season, like the league's theirs, I think he's going to take a step up in terms of responsibility. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he starts to become a little bit more of a ruthless goal scorer. So I'm more than happy to captain him there. And I can honestly see a haul here. Whereas with Haaland, like, yeah, he might get 1, but I don't think he's going to get 2. Like, I really don't personally. With Salah, So that's Bukayo Saka taken care of. But what about Mohamed Salah? Similar to Erling Haaland, I cannot tell you that I have an abundance of reasoning as to why I think it is the most brilliant captain option this week. And I don't think it's the most brilliant captain option this week, but I think it could go well. And it's not just about this game week, right? If I were to make the move, it's also about what is to come, as I will show. He has a phenomenal record against Aston Villa at home, or at least a very good record. He clearly likes the fixture, and I think that is a decent time for things to start moving again. But more so than that, far more than that, I don't think they've been as bad as people have said. I actually went and looked through the results and looked at their attacking performances, and I was like, it hasn't really been that bad. And if their finishing was just a bit better, people would be reflecting on it so differently. And a lot of teams go through ebbs and flows, ups and downs when it comes to finishing. And who knows when they'll get out of it. And if it is to be this game, with the fixtures coming up, I think he could be an extremely attractive prospect to have over Haaland. Now, does Villa's block concern me? Yeah, I think Onana and Kamara in the middle, with Emery's coaching, could be really, really difficult. But I could see him getting some decent change out of Luka Dean, at least. So Bosley at right centre mid with a different type of role for Bradley. I could see, in my opinion, we could see Salah return to improved attacking dynamics, for him at least. And with that in mind, the fact that he's got a good record against them, the fact that I don't think he's been anywhere near as bad as people have made him out to be, I don't think their attack's been anywhere near as bad as it's been made out to be, and he could have improved dynamics as a mid, with me preferring the fixtures to come up, I think it's, like, to me at least, it's justifiable. And with Haaland, like I said, I don't think he's scoring a brace, so my downside's pretty minimal this week. All right, 5-6 points. Okay, it's not going to be the end of the world, especially when I like his fixtures more than Haaland's elsewhere. So yeah, now, again, I have an appreciation for the fact that Villa's block could be very difficult to break down, but I also think that, like, I have to respect the quality of Salah, and a few games where it hasn't gone his way aren't exactly enough for me to write him off. Am I concerned about them defensively? Yeah, for sure. But, like, at least I'd rather have a game that could end 4-3 than a game that's going to end 1-0. And I think that's the 4-3 is more likely. So yeah, when I don't think Haaland's going to score a brace, there's room for me to go elsewhere. Absolutely. Especially when I don't like the fixtures. So that's that. And that's basically a summary of why I'm even considering the Haaland to Salah move as well. But to go into it in a bit more depth, I look at his fixtures, right? Bournemouth at home, I clearly don't like it that much. In 12, I really don't like this. I don't like this for any striker in the game. Newcastle away. It might be one of the, like, a top 3 worst fixtures to have for a forward. Newcastle away. So I wouldn't want him. I definitely wouldn't captain him for that. And not having him, again, I'm capping him at 1 goal and not hauling. So I don't really care about not having him. Yeah, he of course could score a hat-trick. He's the best striker in the league. But, you know, I have to be somewhat realistic. 11, yeah, okay. That could be a little bit tough, not having him. But, you know, all that has to happen is one Liverpool decent performance in game week 10. They take a little bit of a different approach as such in game week 11. And if the attacking dynamics aren't great for him, he wants to play Marmoush. I can see it not going so well. And then here, like, I'll speak about this a little bit later, but I just don't think he's absolutely essential for that run. The only reason that he's essential or close to essential now is because he's in this blistering form. He just has to come down 1 peg, and instead of scoring 2 goals every game, he scores 1 goal a game. And if he's scoring 1, you really don't need him at that price tag, right? You can absolutely bet elsewhere. It's just, can he keep on hauling and hauling again? And if I don't think he can, then I think it's perfectly justifiable to sell him. So that's that. Anyway. Oh, last thing. Salah's fixtures. If I am to do the move. Villa at home, I prefer that to Bournemouth at home in terms of the head-to-head. City away, I think this is better for Salah than it, or at least I think it's going to be better for Salah than it is for Haaland. Even if it's not, I think it'll be pretty close. I just do not see Arne Slot taking a very similar approach to how he has done in other games, knowing what he's coming up against in Erling Haaland. He has shown his capabilities to be adaptable. And I like the fact that Gravenberch is probably back this week. Jones will be back for that game as well. And if you don't have Isak, which I don't think he'll start him in this type of game, especially if he's easing back into it, I think that could be okay, especially before the IB. Forest at home is better than Newcastle away. West Ham away is, for me, definitely better than Leeds at home. And then you get into the rest, right? Where they're very similar, in my opinion. So I prefer Salah's short-term fixtures. Okay, that's that. The only thing about the first strategy that I don't like is selling Eze. Of course, because he has Burnley away. He just got his goal against Palace. I am slightly concerned of like a 70, 75th minute sub, which I wouldn't like. But I guess if I keep him, I have to take that on the chin. The reason I'm not as likely to do the Haaland and Josh King switch is because the one player that I really, really want this week, and I'm 90% getting him, is Mateta. The floor to me is so high with the number of big chances he accumulates that there's no other forward in the game, including Bowen, that I think, yeah, he's definitely going to haul, right? So even if Mateta gets 1 assist and Bowen does hit his 9-pointer with the bonus, right? He's probably not doing any better than that. It's only 4 points, and I'll be happier to have Mateta for the longer stretch. Whereas with Mateta, he could realistically score an 11, 12, 13-pointer, and I could see Bowen getting a 2. And then all of a sudden, I would want Mateta down the line. Price changes are going to happen. I'll be 10 points behind. I just don't think it's worth it. So Bowen's not starting my team in any capacity this week, as you will see. So Mateta will be coming in, right? That's why I want to move Haaland to him instead of Mark Gui, so that I can, with the Salah move. So that's the line of thinking there. Yeah, I wouldn't like to lose Eze. I definitely wouldn't like to lose Eze this week, but there's no other route, right? I can lose Saka, but I might captain him. I'm not losing Semenyo for the long-term value. I think he could be such a good hold. So it only really leaves Eze. That's that. If I were to do that route, here's how it could go. And this is why I think it's interesting. I do not think at any point you can realistically have, or you can, but I don't like it. You can't have a Haaland and Salah draft. It just looks so weak to me. So weak to me. And if I start to play through this with the Salah draft, you'll see that, to me at least, it looks quite strong. All right, so that's that. In game week 11, am I really going to be missing Erling Haaland too much if I think Salah's going to do better than him? No. This is a very strong team overall. And it's a team that you could potentially bench boost in. And if not bench boost there, you could potentially bench boost in game week 12 as well with this structure. And again, like this week, I could just captain Salah at home to Forest, even Saka at home to Spurs, even Semenyo at home to West Ham. I wouldn't want to go Haaland. So in terms of the head-to-head, I really don't think I'm losing too much. I will likely bench boost, a slightly weak bench boost in 11 or 12, just because I think it's sensible to get it out the way if I am looking to move structure into a slightly more comprised one where you don't have as much depth. So all I've done really is I've just taken Haaland out for his bad run. But I'm rolling in 11, I'm rolling in 12, and I'm rolling in I'm getting there to 13 with 3 frees, right? So if I really want Erling Haaland so badly in this game week, okay, I can take out Saka, I can take out Bowen, and I can take out someone else, and I can get him in, right? It's really not the end of the world, especially with Esteve going away to Brentford. Like, I could always play him for some DEFCON. My defenders overall, I'm happy to play Munoz and Gabriel whenever. And the rest of them are pretty fixture-proof. I can get him in. And Salah's only going to stay until game week, let's say, 15, 16. And I have to use all my transfers anyway by 15. So it's not like I'm really like making it an inefficient use of my transfer. By the time we come to 14, again, Sunderland at home, what a wonderful option. If I've got Haaland, then cool. But I don't think he's necessary because I'll just captain Salah here. And again, if I don't think Haaland's bracing, which I think is very challenging away at Fulham, I don't need to captain him, right? I can go against him. I don't even need to have him if he's getting just 1 goal. It's not that big of a deal. The max I'm going to lose out on in that spot is 7 points. Maybe 14 if I mess up the captaincy as well. But the probability of him scoring 1, my captain blanking, and my other forward blanking, pretty minimal. And yeah, and then game week 15 again. If I have him, okay, fine, I'll have restructured and the team will be strong enough, right? But I don't need him. And the other thing is, say we get to 13, and say it's just looking like, actually, you don't want Salah, even with his fixture run, then I'll just sell him. I have to use the transfers by 15 anyway, because we're getting 3 and 16. So it's perfectly acceptable to me. I understand it might sound crazy, but when you look at it in terms of the structure and the fact that you have to use the transfer by 15, which I think is a massive thing, it's okay. Okay, the other version would be... Oh, I made the transfer. Okay, let me just unmake the transfer. The other version would be Haaland there. You would go back to Eze, and then I can go from Bowen to Mateta. You can ignore the money in the bank because obviously it thinks I've sold it, lost value. Okay, this is probably what most people would do, right? And this is, I think, something that is completely understandable. And like I said, I might do it. I really like him for this week, like I explained, so I'm not selling him. I get to keep Eze for Burnley away. Haaland certainly won't be captained, and I just bring in Saka there. Game week 11, again, like maybe I even captain Haaland this week if he's looking good and Liverpool don't change. It's clearly giving me a lot of flexibility. Maybe I even bench boost this. Without Bowen, I can essentially have a higher upside with my Burnley boys. Game week 12, again, maybe I bench boost that. At home to Chelsea, hope for some save points in DEFCON, and I'm willing to do that. And then game week 13 rolls around, and maybe by this point, you know what? I don't want Haaland. I do want Salah for whatever reason. I can get out of the structure. Maybe I want Haaland and Salah. And as I showed, not ideal, but it's possible. But certainly for me, not ideal, and it's not something I want to do. I think to take out Saka and Eze and someone else and leave yourself a little light with a lack of depth, and be so reliant on both of them when you're not going to captain one of them, I think it's just a bit of an inefficient use of funds. So this is probably what most people do, and it's solid. It definitely is solid. But again, can Salah outscore Haaland in the games to come? I think so. The good thing about this is that I have one extra free than I would otherwise going into the international break, game week 12. I'd have 3 as opposed to 2 frees. And then with game week 13, I'd have 4, again, extra 1. So the ability to get Salah in would be easier, or generally just to move around for other Liverpool assets. If I wanted to go Haaland and let's say a Gakpo plus Wirtz, and then you've got to use it by 14 and 15 anyway. And there's no point showing you this. It's very, well, not very, but it's easy to handle. That's what most people would do, and I would get it, but obviously then I don't. I'm almost committing to no Salah in that period that I think he could be better. And hypothetically, assume that I get to game week 13, Leeds at home, Fulham away, Sunderland at home, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't think he's going to go parabolic in those fixtures. Again, not having him and having Salah and being able to keep other big hitters would be a huge play, because in and around this time period, I'm really looking at Man United assets. Like for example, in 12, Everton at home, in 14, West Ham at home, in 15, Wolves away. I'd want them, and that's why I only really want to go one of Salah or Haaland and kind of commit early to try and get the maximum gain, depending on which one I think does better, and then have Man United assets at this point, right? As opposed to just constantly having to restructure to get both of them. So that's that. And then the other one was, I've forgotten because there were so many routes. I'm not going to look at the fourth one. Oh, the last one was, oh, yes. Let's move him into Bowen. Let's move him into Jared Bowen. And then let's move Josh King into Bruno Fernandes. Now, I understand why you'd hate this, right? The other ones, I think, obviously, if you really don't like Salah, then fair enough. But I'd understand why you hate this. For me, Bruno and Cunha could do really, really well in this next patch. Obviously, Mbeumo could as well. I just think the whole set, it's not the best stylistic fit. And if I had to pick one in a shootout this week, Bruno or Haaland, I'm taking Bruno to get a higher points total. In this case, I'd captain Saka. Like I said, I'm very comfortable with that. Next game week, it would give me more depth in attack. For example, I'd have Bowen at home to Burnley. It would also allow for a bench boost. Yeah, okay, my Bowen would play the Burnley boys, but overall it'd be an extremely strong bench boost, irrespective of who I was to bench, on the assumption Anderson's fit. If not, I can just do it in 12 anyway. Again, it'll be a pretty strong bench boost, and I'm happy enough to have double Burnley away at Chelsea. Not ideal, but you know, it's okay. The only thing about this is I don't really want to have Bowen, I don't think, anymore. I'm pretty okay not having him. I can see Newcastle making it very difficult. I don't have so much conviction in him scoring at home to Burnley. He just doesn't have a great home record because of how West Ham have been playing. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that. And then going down the line as well, it guarantees I have to restructure because I'll probably want one of Haaland or Salah at that point, and it just forces me, I think, into a certain direction. But it's not bad. It's not bad, and I could consider it. Again, 14 and 15 is not difficult to handle, or shouldn't be, from 10. So yeah, those are the 3 routes. I haven't decided yet. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. The reason I'd basically do this route is if I'm not super confident in Salah, I obviously said I think Bruno outscores Haaland this week. I'm pretty sure that there's a Bruno Fernandes haul coming. He could be Cunha as well, but I just feel safer with him. And I don't think I need to miss out on that. It also gives me more depth next week and so on. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with the team. I really might sell Haaland. I don't know yet. We'll see. All those 3 routes are available to myself. I would ask you in the comments, tell me which one you think, but I'm pretty sure I already know how they're going to look. And there's going to be a lot of Bo into Matetas. And that is the nice version of it. But yeah, that's basically like an explanation of my thoughts, a quick run through of the team down the line, and why I'm looking at these. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, a like, a hyper subscribe, all would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your support as always. And have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.